We're going to talk with Karen Antonelli about her two pieces, both easily for me, titled Untitled. So let's start here on the right, Karen. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is in Rochester, and I didn't know this, but in Rochester there's 3 waterfalls, and they powered the industry way back. And this is at the base of one of the waterfalls. I was on a footbridge over the top. Everybody asked me, how did you get this shot? You know, I flew over the top of it. But I was on a footbridge, and I had my 4x5 camera kind of like leaning right over the parapet, shooting down into what would have been just the pool, but I think this is also flooded, because I think that might have been on the edge of the pool.
Oh, definitely.
I was fascinated by the trees in the water.
Yes, so, you know, I've talked to you about this. I love this piece. I love just like a little hint of the human element, but there not being any people here, and we'll see that. And then the second piece as well, but yeah, no, definitely a flood here. So let's go ahead and turn to that second piece, also titled Untitled. Perhaps a little bit familiar to some of our viewers. What are we looking at here?
This is around the back of the reservoir in Highland Park. There's a place where the Parks Department put benches and other things in a yard, and this was just before it. And I think it's near a place where there's a couple of pools that you can walk up to and stand on, kind of pavers next to. So I think it was part of something at some point, but I don't know what it was.
So with both of your pieces, they're a little bit dramatic. They're a little bit cinematic, right? And I say a little bit because a lot of it, right? Here we have this moment, this drastic lighting that's happening here. Kind of feels like an empty stage set. And then with this piece behind you, these rushing waters, the flood, a lot of that going on. Can you speak to that influence perhaps of film or drama, the cinema behind your work, kind of that perhaps narrative that I'm inserting as the audience member?
Yeah, so it's quite a lot to talk about. So partly it's a function of the format of the camera. So working with I actually use a press camera, so it's a lot quicker to work with than a big 4x5 camera, you know, with all the movements.
So a press camera is just kind of like a press? Okay.
It's a view camera, but it's a Crown Graphic, and they used to use that for doing press photographs way back in the 40s. So I like the restriction of that. I like working in the studio where I can, change all the parts of it, but I also like going out and just shooting with the restrictions of what the camera will do. So so that's partly it, and then the other thing is that the format of the film, you've got so much what I call real estate on it. So the 35mm negative is like this, a 4x5 negative is like this, and so there's much more resolution. And so when you're taking a picture, you can get all this tiny little details of things. When you go to an 8x10, there's even more. To me, that's huge compared to 4x5. It's 4 times as much. And then the other part of this is, I've been looking at painting for a long time. Painting. So I really like Cy Twombly and Anselm Kiefer paintings. I saw an Anselm Kiefer when I first came to this country. I had a residency in Bemis in Omaha, and I drove from Philadelphia to Omaha, and I went through Des Moines, and in the museum in Des Moines they had an Anselm Kiefer painting that was this canvas that just went up 2 stories basically. It was, there was a mezzanine floor, and it was just that tall, and it was just a ploughed field with, I think, twisted railway lines or something.
I know his work. I don't know the specific work,
right.
But I know.
I know
what you mean. Yeah, very dramatic. Yes.
So I saw that one, and I would love to work big, but there's a limit to what I can physically handle. So I made these frames, and I decided, okay, when I'm exhibiting, this is the biggest I can make this, but I'd like to see these pictures. much bigger.
Yeah.
So if I ever sell somebody a print, they'll have the option of having one that's 54 inches wide rather than just 30 something inches wide. And then the photographs of Gregory Crutzen and Edward Batinsky.
Okay.
So Edward Batinsky, as you probably know, takes these huge landscape photographs that have got a lot of things going on in them, and they're all landscapes that have been affected by extractive industries, and then the manufacturing, and then the disposal of what's left, that straight line manufacturing. Gregory Crutzen sets up these photographs that he was offered to make a movie once, and he said no, he wasn't interested in it.
I didn't realize that.
Because he made a movie in one frame. So that's how he considered his to be.
Oh, that's really beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. Yeah, no, I love this work. I mean, it's interesting that you say Cy Twombly because with him, he's known for that mark making, right? And it's almost kind of happening here with the water, with the rippling, that kind of abstract mark making, but it's a very photo. I mean, it's a photo. It's a real picture. So just compositionally wise, now that you say that, I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely. So Karen, what brought you to Pittsburgh?
Actually, I came to be an auntie for a couple of years, and I was going to keep going west. So my stepfather was American, and he moved back here in '85, I think, but he lived just south of Philadelphia. And so I came to visit in '89. When I first came here, we drove everywhere, including the town where he was born and brought up. And I just thought, whoa, what a weird country. It's very old-fashioned, and I'm not coming back here. And then 4 years later, I did come back. My brother had come over a couple of years earlier because he was with a consultancy, and he was brought over by an apparel company. And he's now a citizen. He's been here ever since. So I've been here 25 years, and he's been here nearly 30 years.
Wow.
He's got 4 American-born kids, so they were living here because he was working in Cranberry at American Eagle.
Okay.
So I came here to be an auntie for a couple of years, and then I keep going, and I just got stuck.
You got stuck. Wonderfully stuck for us. Because we first started interacting through your work at Point Park as a professor there, teaching there, in that wonderful photo department there. I'm a fan of that. But now you're a member of AAP. So why did you join Associated Artists of Pittsburgh?
I kind of came out of hiding. So I think before teaching in Point Park, I taught in the Art Institute, and it was a great program at one time, so I'll just say that for anybody who knows anything about the Art Institute now. But it was a really great program, and we actually designed the bachelor's program and launched it and designed it the way we wanted it before the parent company decided to standardize all the programs. And that was a commercial program, and so what I was doing was always kind of like, I always kept that part secret because it wasn't really acceptable to talk conceptually to too many people. So I kind of kept that secret, and then last year Bill Wade gave me a headache saying, "Why didn't you apply for Associated Artists? Why didn't you apply?" And so this year I thought, okay, I'll do.
Bill Wade being a good board member, as he does. Well, we are glad to have you apply.
Thank you.
And obviously, fans, we have here both pieces. What are you working on now?
Along with these negatives came from like 10 years of shooting.
Oh, wow.
I thought I would finish shooting and then edit and then exhibit, and of course, that never quite happened like that. So I've just started to pull things out and start to show them. But at the same time, I also have an archive of black and white negatives that don't make photographs in themselves, but were taken as source material of something else. So I printed some of them, actually you might have seen it on Instagram. Printed some of them which I've composited together just to match them together to make a bigger photograph, and then I'm drawing into them. So
interesting.
I just applied for a print show with one. So
fingers crossed.
I'm going to do that.
Well, thank you so much, Karen.